Mike Steiner taking on Steve Shortridge. Mike is the higher of the two-seeded bowlers. He has the option. He makes Steve go first. And Steve, fresh off a pretty solid win. I think he has to be pretty happy with that victory over Millard Herald.
Strong finish. Spare, strike, spare in the 10th to get him to 153. Two bowlers very familiar with one another, both being from the Baltimore area. Mike Steiner of Pasadena, but does a lot of bowling in this area up at Greenway Bowl East and different centers.
Steve will want to shake off a slow start here in a hurry as he picks up a nice 10.
Mike Steiner, Bowler of the Year, 1991 Pro Tour. Probably the hottest thing going here over the last 15 months. Does a lot of things right.
Well, with a big showing here today, he may go right to the top of that Bowler of the Year chart that we were talking about before, because it does reward you quite a bit for your performance during the qualifying round, and he was high qualifier again. Comes out quickly with his with a mark in his first match, in first frame here. He was the high qualifier with a 1269 count in 8 games. He's got some impressive career numbers to talk about, Joe.
And there's why. I tell you, he's... I said a few years ago on a telecast, Mike, that this guy probably had, if you watch here again, you'll see the knee bend and the good extension with the arm, and probably had the best stroke in the game at that time. Just needed to mature, pick up some experience, which he obviously has done, and it's a tough number to beat. I tell you, he puts, whether it be shooting qualifying scores or bowling head-to-head, he's come a long way. He used to have a little bit of a habit. I don't think he knew it, but as the competition became keener, he's sort of stepped up the speed, and he would kill his own ball. He's, tall, got long arms. There you see Steve with a spare of his own.
Big spare for him, too, because Mike Steiner jumped up, bit him a couple of times in the first 2 frames, and Steve comes right back and puts his own mark on the board.
Yeah, I don't think any opponent is going to scare Steve Shortridge away. You're going to have to beat him. He's a good competitor. Tough middle again. There you see 2 out of 3. Steve's sort of pushed through the middle. 25, second frame. 2-4 on the left, 3-6-10 down the right side. Nice try.
And a number of opportunities as the pin was sliding up and back and forth. Steve will shoot here for 10.
It's a big ball for both bowlers. Mike, of course, because he can extend his lead, and Steve, because if you make a mistake, catch a split, at least you stop that string. And Mike, as we mentioned, 1269 qualifier, very comfortable here at Greenway East, and it's just on a roll. His confidence level has to be as high as anyone out there.
Well, Mike has an average 151, high game of 241, as you see him pick up the mark there, and a high series of 632. That's a 3-game series, and that is a city record, Baltimore city record.
Probably less than a dozen 600 sets ever in the game of Duckpins, Mike. So it's a sort of a milestone to get around the 600s or over it. There you see his third 9 with the strike in the second frame, and 59 and quickly to a 24-pin lead, and you just cannot spot Mike Steiner 24 pins. If you look, he's very under control. He's got a good solid at the line, nice arm swing, and just doing everything right.
Well, Steve's got his work cut out for him. He's looking at an opponent that put 4 in a row up on the board. And Steve will take a shot here.
Nice ball for Steve.
Back in the match on lane 62 at Greenway Bowl East. 68 lanes strong here at Greenway Bowl, and one of the few duckpin centers in which you can send a friend down the other end and not see him for a while.
Pretty good trip in both when you go both directions. Round trip anyway. Spare for Steve. Frame 4. 45 plus for Steve. Mike Steinert 69 plus with spare, strike, spare. Nothing less than 9. Steve, got to just keep it going. You can't really let the other guy intimidate you to the point where you sort of forced errors, I guess you would say.
Nice shot.
Ball. Could have very well been a double.
So Steve Shortridge comes blasting back at Mike Steiner. Not giving up in this match, that's for sure.
Doing what? There you see the replay of the strike. 5 off the wall. Trying to get Mike's attention just to get him out of the good routine that he's in. And it did. Sent it a little wide. Looked a little forced. Not quite as fluid as the first 4. Well, no one's perfect, Mike. It's a, if you get away with that, sort of throw it even farther to the right and break 7 or 8, you forget about it. But the 2 count, it really, Mike has done nothing wrong until he threw the 2 count, and this game could turn around that quick. 80 for Mike Steiner after 5, 65 plus, and on a strike. So that'll
tighten things up considerably here.
Well, the 2-pin count sort of works against Mike and in favor of Steve. It just helps flop things around. And the game of bowling, and then there you see the correction, sort of forced it. Nice try. Shot
He's going to have
the
2
on the
open
right.
frames here, and Steve Shortridge can certainly change things around in the match as we head down the stretch.
Head-to-head bowling, Mike, you don't like to get up and sit back down after your 2 frames and not have made a mark. 2 consecutive frames. So many things can happen in those 2 frames, as we may see right here. Big ball for Steve Shortridge. 6 frames, striking a 5th.
Working on the strike. Ooh, he almost got his...
Almost
had a heart attack as 7-10 split stood up. The 10 went down, and 7 almost followed it. Went from sheer panic to, okay, I got a single and almost got a strike. Right on the money.
We got a match, Mike. We got a match. 85 plus, Steve Shortridge, frame 6 to 90 for Mike Steiner, and a quick turnaround as Steve Shortridge goes spare, strike, spare. Mike Steiner spare, but he counted 2 and opened 2 frames in a row, the 5th and 6th. First ball.
Steve attacks this. Expecting a little bit better out of that, and probably deserved it.
I think he liked that ball when he let it go. How quick things even out. He had the 7-10, the 10 falls, then he turned right around, and of course this is a much easier shot than 7-10. Still difficult. 101 with a ball left. And a close game, Mike. One of these 2 bowlers will be bowling John Owens in our 3rd match as we work our way up this 13-man ladder, Mike, to someone will receive a nice paycheck at the end of the 4 weeks.
$2,200 first prize. All in all, a total of $14,000 in prizes given away to the members, bowlers of the Duckpin Professional Bowlers Association. That's a tough one to shoot at there.
Well, you sort of have to close out the fact that the 5-pin is even there. And you just try to slap the triangle, the 4, 7, 8, and catch something off the wall.
Like that.
Well, I tell you, Mike shot that different than I think most bowlers would shoot it. He actually tried to slide the 5 and did a good job of it. I don't know what percentage-wise. I think you're shooting at a lot smaller target when you try to slide the 5.
Well, 3 frames in a row now. Mike Steinert has been open after starting with 4 marks in a row. And that is why we are in a 2-pin match. 102-100. Steve Shortridge leading it ever so slightly after 7 frames.
Well, you see Mike breaking up the split. There's the 4 remaining.
Back to putting marks on the board. That's his 5th in the match in 8 frames, and Steve Shortridge will step in. He was open in the last frame as well. John Owens returns to the Pro Tour. His first tour stop in quite a while, and
had knee surgery, Mike.
Yeah.
And,
for the longest time during the qualifying, he was actually the high qualifier until Mike Steiner threw a 200 game in the last game to overtake him.
you see the 5-9 remaining as Mike looks on. Little tentative with that shot. Sort of tried to guide it into the pocket and left it hang out.
Well, knew he was in need of a mark. And instead, we'll come up with just 10 in the 8th frame. 112 to 110 plus a ball for Mike Steiner. There's 2 frames left to decide a winner here who will go on to face John Owens. And, of course, the winner of our next match will meet Kenny Palmer in the first match of next week's program.
Tough place for that to happen, Mike. Missed a 2-pinner in the 8th frame and comes back with knocking the middle out. 2-4 on the left, 3-6-10 on the right side. He's got to give it a shot. Oh, tough luck. I thought he might squeeze it off the wall, and actually only wound up getting the 3-6 off of it. 2-4-10, and troubles for Steve Shortridge. An 8 frame, 120. Sort of up to Mike right here. Mike elected to finish this way, being higher in the ladder. He said, let Steve start, which means that Mike will bowl the 9th and 10th frames here and can really apply some pressure. This is the biggest ball of the match for Mike.
Right. Wants a big fill here. Got a pretty good one.
Strong 8. Real quick, what I call the quick 8. When you leave throw it where you want it, leave the 4-7 or the 6-10. Went in the pit very quickly.
Yeah, wasn't sure about that one, but he got it.
Well, I think he was a little leery of a pick at that point. They had the 4-7 and quite often will knock the front one off. See Steve looking on. He's 8 down. Probably will be on minimum of a double and perhaps closed out. As Mike would have to double really to close Steve out. No, he wouldn't have to double either. A mark will do it. Got that out on the lane a little bit, just a little extra on it. Something Steve's learned how to do over the last few years. I mean, Mike has learned to do without sort of drilling the ball. He still gets the good action on it. Number 5. Spare. 4 on will close out Steve Shortridge. And we can prepare for our next match. John Owens, welcome back.
And the guy that throws a bunch of numbers at the scoreboard on a regular basis. Strong
left-handed bowler. Yep, there you have it, 157.
Okay, so Mike Steiner will move on to take on John Owens. We'll have all the action for you on Magic right after this.